Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Allred, and it is just my pleasure to be joining you for our first live on Substack. Today, we're going to talk about anxiety at work. I've heard from some of you that anxiety is a real problem and it can get worse over the holidays. So, everything we talk about related to anxiety at work will also be helpful for anxiety in other aspects of your life. So, you may, like me, feel kind of a constant hum of worry. Maybe you get tightness in your chest. Um, you just feel a little off, even though nothing is really wrong with you. That's really your nervous system trying to tell you that it perceives a threat around you, or the stakes feel especially high, or you are feeling overwhelmed. And so that's a really normal response to having stress and chaos and this urgency culture in our lives. And so lots of times we think of anxiety as being a problem, but anxiety is really a early warning system. Now, when it becomes a problem is when it dictates our life and overwhelms us. And so I recommend that if you are having ongoing distressing anxiety, that you see a mental health professional. It's not admitting weakness, it's only just acknowledging that we all need help with different physical illnesses, and anxiety is a physical illness. So there's no stigma, it's just doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. So today we're going to basically try not to get rid of anxiety, but to notice it sooner, respond to it with care, and reduce the intensity so that we can think more clearly when the anxiety comes on board. So, I have a question for you. Think of a recent moment at work, or you can think of it in your daily life where you felt anxious. Now, I want you to notice, what did you become aware of first? Was it your thoughts? Maybe I'm going to mess this up, or everybody's judging me, or catastrophizing. If I make one mistake, it's over. Or maybe it was your body. Maybe your jaw tightened or your shoulders lifted up by your ears. My heart starts racing. Maybe you had shallow breath or stomach issues, headaches, trouble sleeping. My palms also get sweaty when I'm really anxious. Or maybe you noticed first behaviors like over preparing or overworking. Perfectionism can be a sign of anxiety, even avoidance, because your body starts to kind of shut down and you avoid doing things that you need to do. Another behavior that might be associated with anxiety is people pleasing. So, saying yes when you mean no, or when you really don't have time or interest in doing what the person has asked you to do. So, when you think back to a recent moment where you felt anxious, what do you notice first? Was it your thoughts, your body, or your behaviors? What comes first for you? And if you recognize yourself in any or all of those, welcome. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. But now let's give it some new options. So, I want to introduce a tiny nervous system reset called Name, Notice, Nurture. It's a 2-minute reset that you can do pretty much anywhere. So, the first step is name. First, we name what's happening. And when we name what's happening, we take the perspective of we're noticing something about ourselves. So, like for instance, I might think to myself, I notice I'm having, I notice I'm feeling anxiety right now. So, when you name it, it tells the brain, I see it, which begins to lower the intensity. It's the concept that therapists often use as the detached observer. So you are observing yourself and you can see, I notice I'm feeling anxious right now. So that begins even by noticing to lower the intensity of the anxiety. You can say things to yourself like, my nervous system is activated. I'm feeling keyed up about this conversation. I'm noticing I have a wave of anxiety right now. So, noticing, wow, it's so powerful once you're able to start noticing not just that the anxiety is happening, but noticing from an outside perspective. You are not your anxiety. You are a person who has experienced anxiety as opposed to an anxious person. So, step two, after you name it, is to get curious and to notice. So, getting curious is essential. We need to replace self judgment, self criticism with curiosity. I was just reading a book yesterday that I'll link to about managing chronic pain. And self judgment is one of the best indicators that people are going to experience neuroplastic pain, which is chronic pain that doesn't have a physical symptom. It's when your brain takes takes things that aren't um, actually painful and registers them as a threat response. So it's real, but it is really important to pay attention to when you're self judging because that negatively impacts your body. So, when we get curious and notice, I want you to ask yourself, where is this anxiety living in my body right now? And then we're going to guide through a very short practice. So I'm going to take you through it and then you can do it yourself. So I invite you to soften your gaze or look away from the screen and just notice my voice. Notice your breath without changing it. Scan your body from your forehead down to your feet. Where do you feel the anxiety the most? Might be your chest or your stomach, your throat, or your jaw. Now, see if you can give that area where the anxiety lives, just 10% more space. As we finish, I want you to let your exhales be slightly longer than your inhales for the next 3 breaths. Finally, we're going to offer ourselves something nurturing instead of pushing harder or pushing through. So, here are a couple of things you can do within the workplace that can nurture your body, nurture your spirit when you are feeling anxious. So, the first is micro movement. Roll your shoulders, stretch your arms overhead. Twisting is really good in your chair because it helps with flexibility in the spine. And also, when you look around and behind you, it is an automatic signal to your nervous system that you're safe. There are no predators around you. Maybe you try a sensory anchor. You feel your feet on the floor and the weight of your feet. You can even stomp on the floor a little bit. You put your hands on the desk, or you feel your coffee or tea. Mine's cold, warm works better. Maybe you offer yourself a supportive phrase, or you even tape one to your computer screen. Things like, I can take this one step at a time, or I don't have to solve everything this moment, or maybe I'm allowed to pause before I respond. Maybe you take a boundary micro step. You decide one small boundary, like I will respond to this email after I take 3 slow breaths, or I will ask for clarification before assuming. So, those are some ways that you can nurture yourself in our 3-step process of name, notice, and nurture. So, I want you to think about using those, and what's one situation at work that makes you reliably anxious? What's one tiny thing from today that you're willing to try? I want you to jot it down so that way you'll remember to do it. Remember, anxiety is not a personal failing. It's a nervous system doing its best in a challenging environment. When you name it, notice it, and nurture it, you create more space to respond instead of react. Over time, these tiny practices add up to a workplace and life where your body and brain feel a little bit safer. I look forward to connecting with you next month. If you have any topics you'd like me to speak about, just let me know. I'm happy to respond to you, the members.